But what I want to do is, guys watching this later on, is give you one of the videos that I had in that I have in my Patreon account that I made after the big patch came out, the last big patch. Made a video talking about how we're going to play bunch. You know what my plan was going forward. So what I did was when I started the video, though, I made it so that I wanted to go back in the history of bunch and talk about what the adjustments were from this year compared to last year, and explain to you what the patch did and how it made it better, and then give you guys an adjustment that you can use so you can run bunch and feel pretty good about it. Now, myself, I haven't really used it that much in my game so far. This second season that I have in my CFMs and when I play games online, I'll use it a little bit more. But we'll also talk about, there have been some other good content creators that have talked about some of the issues about bunch and how people get out leveraged. So that's the reason why I wanted to make this live so I can draw on the screen over here and kind of talk to you as I go and we can kind of give an update. But I wanted to give you guys a little bit of something real quick. Three people right now. What's up, Mike? So this is kind of like going to school, man, going to college, a professor, right? But has a question. I realize that the broadcast will be a little bit delayed, so I'm kind of hooked up right now too, and I can jump on the Madden and we can do some examples. But again, Patreon account that came from what? How many? Well, it's been what? Big patch came out that supposedly fixed quarters. Really, what it did is it fixed the nickel and it fixed some of the underneath coverage. That made it better. I know there might have been some deep coverage changes, but really the underneath coverage is what made box play better, or what made the really the flat defender play better. But this video is going to talk about how Madden used to play last year. If you followed my videos last year, try to explain it nice and slow, nice and easy. How it played last year, what's the difference this year, which I already kind of talked about before the game even dropped this year. I kind of gave an idea of how I thought it was going to play different, and it was true. And then an adjustment that you can just use that's simple. So when you play the game, you don't have to think too much, and it should hold up versus a lot. Because this video, it says talk through the New York Jets playbook. What I started doing is I started just running plays and just making sure that everything was sound versus some of the best stock playbooks in the game. You know what I mean? You might run against you might find that one play that beats your coverage. Okay, cool. But the other 45 plays, does the coverage take care of it? Then it's a good coverage. You know what I mean? So we'll start this video here in a second. Let me just wait. Let me know, Mike, let me know, is the sound good? I'm using a little different microphone setup here, but, and then what I'm going to do is, what's up? I see Senyo here. Yeah, so this is guys who are part of my Patreon. If you are, you've seen this video already. It came out last month. It's talking about bunch and how to play quarters and match to it and how it works. All right. So the video will run. I'll probably start in about 2 minutes. And anybody here who wants to talk about the that video from X and O, I did watch it. Very good. I actually just realized looking at it, it's not a 4/3 coverage. It's just a straight up 3/3 coverage. And yeah, it's basically lock. I would call it lock tango. That's all it is. It's just in and out with 1 and 3, and you're locking two. The only question I have is the way he has it set up, if I'm not mistaken, is that the routes go, if they become vertical routes. What happens when they're short routes? I don't know if they play it the same. So I gotta go, and it's for you guys to also figure out. But if I get a shallow of one, you have to, who plays it? I think he said the three receiver hook player plays it. Well, that's not 3/3 coverage. Now you're including another guy. So if I wanted to, like, that coverage that was in that Alabama playbook was meant to be played with like cover one, you know, where everybody else has a job already. You know, you might have a rat in a hole that can help you out, but yeah, that's not really built out of quarters. But I understand that quarters in this game allows you to play it, and I'll talk more detail about that later. So sorry to get off on that tangent, but go watch his stuff, man. It's a great content creator. I consider us like, brothers from another mother. We've never met each other, we never worked together, but we definitely try to play Madden in similar fashion. So I appreciate him. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think the one thing that I kind of kept to myself, and I know even what's the other content creator? He's more of a mutt guy, but still he does good stuff. Zan, Zan put out a video and I got hit up about that too. And I think the main thing overall, I could just start the video soon, is that Madden has always been like this. And I learned it from Deuce Close, his stuff. That if you man up, when you play quarters coverage, when you man up somebody when you take any defender and you man up somebody in the bunch or in a stack, even stack formations, the other players adjust to it. They basically cancel that guy out. They just say he's not part of of the breakdown of what, as Saban would call it, the route distribution. It's kind of like he doesn't exist, right? It's kind of like a corner playing Meg on number one. It basically just erases him off the chalkboard, and now you could just everybody else you pay attention to. So it's that same idea, and then the game has been working like that for a while now. It's actually done that for pretty good decent amount of time. So by manning people up, you kind of always get that. So manning up the point man, manning up number three doesn't matter. You can kind of control that, and that's something that people have been using for a little bit of time now. I know I've been using it for a couple of years too. So anyway, any final questions before I start, and then I'll just kind of get this thing rolling. So it's gonna be like maybe like run for like 5 minutes. I might stop it and let you know it's my voice. My voice might sound a little bit different, so you know it's not like a lot. It's not the video. You could probably see the numbers rolling. That's why I kind of left it in this screen so you can see the numbers rolling. But what's up NFL? What's up NFL picks? Haven't seen you in a while, man. You need to come in my league, man. What's up? What's up? Still busy? Got to get you in the CFM. All right. So again, anybody who watching this later on, this is going to be a video. I'm not going to play all 50 minutes of it. I don't plan on it because I think towards the back end, it's more just routes and things like that. We could do that. But the thing I like about this screen is that I can now take this and do this. I can draw on it. So I can actually show you guys stuff if I want to make a point. I don't have to, like I do in my NFL films, I don't have to sit here and I can't do that on the Madden screen. So anyway, this first part here is going to talk about how the game used to play in Madden 23, and that might be a little bit of a review. But for new people who don't know, it's just it's a good review. And then after that, it'll go into, and I'll stop it and talk about that. All right. So let me let this thing start. It let me know if it's running. If you can't hear the computer sound. Packers. I'm sorry, the Jets. All right, the Jets stock bunch plays, normal gun bunch. We're gonna look at quarters coverage, which should check the box. But I have a theory, okay? And let me quickly explain the theory, and then it will make more sense as you listen to more of the video. I said this before the game actually even dropped back in the preseason in the beta launch, okay? The game was trying to take away routes that was beating the game and breaking the game, especially quarters. Quarters assignment back in the day was simple, all right? It's a zone match principle, meaning you play your zone area, and then if somebody comes into it, you match them. That's the basic way to play zone match, okay? And that's how it's taught really from the early stages. So the outside corner would be doing what? Playing outside deep quarters, first vertical outside out of the bunch. It doesn't have to be anybody in specific, just anybody that comes to him, he will take. The safety would take the first vertical coming inside to him. If there's only one vertical, both these guys would match him. Then we would get the quarter flat defender working the first guy to the flat, doesn't matter who it is out of the bunch. And then your three receiver hook player would always take care of any route that's coming inside short under 10 yards. Okay. So that's why it's called a box, because it used to look like a box. If you actually put it like this, right, boom, it would look like these four over those three. We're going to box it. Okay. Now, the initial inherent problem of box coverage is, well, since there's only two guys deep, right? What happens when they run three guys deep? Well, then you have to have some sort of one of the underneath guys be able to help out. So people would find out, okay, well, that's a problem. Now, box coverage does have a rule, just like any zone coverage match rule, is that if anybody ever goes to the flat, you take that guy up and you run with them. That's still in the game. That's the way it's always going to be. Okay. What's a flat route? Well, technically, number one, Lazard is running a flat route, and also Coughlin's kind of running a flat route, right? They're both going out to the flat. and then they go vertical. So when that happens, you have to stay with them. Well, who does the nickel stay with? Well, in our world, with the zone match principles, just stay with the guy that is basically he never paid attention to number one. Okay. Number one was always taken care of by the corner. We're good, but it didn't matter. As long as you and the corner are on the same page, you take this guy and let the corner go take the red route or the opposite way, we're good. But that's just how the game played, and it was okay, right? However, though, people found out that if you do routes like this, and there are other routes that are very similar, where one doesn't actually go to the flat, and Conklin, the red route, is kind of an in between route. That's not really a flat route. People would just say it's a little bit of a seam release. But what happened was the game would kind of just, I don't want to call it bug out, but the nickel would just say, oh, well, there's nobody to the flat, so I'm just going to stand there, right? And then the corner would be like, oh, snap, like who am I supposed to cover? So the corner would end up covering for whatever reason, he would cover nobody. Like he would start to cover the red route and then realize, oh, snap, Lazard is over the top, one play touchdown. Okay. So let's fast forward to what I had the theory of the new Madden. Once I noticed that they messed around with the corners and the corner was not really waiting for somebody to come out there, he was basically jumping guys and playing routes hard, especially on the left side of the screen. I was like, they are trying to take away the potential of one staying one. Okay. And if one stays one, then he's just going to run with number one, and that could take away the potential of this cheese. Okay. If it's not one stay one, well, even if it is one stay one like this, same thing. He would be like one staying outside. He's not going underneath. I'm going to run with this guy. Okay. All right, sorry about that. I went too far. So that first part was really quick. Guys, last Madden 23, I guess doesn't really matter, but this is how I think. I'm sorry. You guys learn box from me, following my channel, following other people. It was the most easy thing in the world, right? You have these four players. Let me put them in a different color. All right. Let me get still learning how to use this tool. I got to get a better tool here. I need to get that JTO O'Sullivan pin. All right. So basically, you got the four parts of a box. That's a horrible color too. All right. You got your two low guys, you got your two high guys, one guy's outside, one guy's inside. And really what it is almost like, it's like playing basketball, playing zone match. Like somebody enters into your zone, you match them up, you take them man to man, right? So simple. So obviously if you just look at the math though, and that's what I'm going to start talking about here, if you have two guys that are deep, well, the problem is what happens when three guys go deep. Well, I already have it on the screen there. It's kind of screwed up. But actually, it's probably better to let the video run. But just in general, when you get three guys going deep, somebody's going to be wide open, right? Just the same way if you had, get a real red here. If you had, for some reason, three guys going short, which is just a spacing concept, right? So something like that, then you could potentially have a flood and you have two guys short. So it's simple. So that's always been the problem. Most people who understand in the NFL, college, high school, how do you beat regular box is by flooding the zone, putting three guys deep or putting three guys short. Okay. The coverage is really good when one guy goes deep and two guys go short, or vice versa. If one guy goes short and two guys go deep, it's great. Now, that's the way it is. Now, within the coverage, though, there's always been something that people don't talk about enough. You guys can suggest a better. Let me find the right color. So let me go black. What about that? Actually, white. It's live here, guys. Live internet. Okay, so this outside part of the box, this guy right here, right? He has the generic rule which applies to pretty much all flat coverage in most defenses, even spot drop flat coverage. As if anybody goes to the flat, you take him vertical. Okay. So that's kind of always been the joker in the defense, where you can have an extra guy to go vertical as long as one of those vertical routes was a guy that went to the flat, so a wheel, right? So in the old Maddens, if I'm not mistaken, I think the wheel last year's Madden, I'm not sure which one he considered a wheel. I think he might have considered probably the outside guy was considered a wheel, right? So actually, no, I think he considered the inside guy part of wheel. So he would see the tight ends route going like this, and he would say, okay, that's a wheel. So now I'm going to go take that like it would if he went to the flat and he was going up. And then now the corner can stay here, and then the safety can stay over here in this route. Okay, so that's kind of one of the things why last year's old Madden, it was actually not bad. Now, a lot of people would kind of take advantage of this and kind of cheese and throw the ball real quick to the outside, right? But still, versus the route in general, it wasn't bad. Now, I'm going to talk about it from the standpoint of we all know if you guys followed last year, the way to break this defense was to put this guy in a straight vertical instead of a outside vertical, and it would kind of change things up a little bit. But I'm going to talk about now in the next part of this video how this year my assumption of what I said back, I think, in the beta mode during the summer or spring, how they tried to fix that problem of three straight verticals. And they fixed it by changing the assignment of the corner. And that kind of like remade what box is right now. So that's the next part of the video. But let me just pause for 1 second. Let me see if there's any questions about old box from 2023. I wish they gave us an. And the funny thing is that I kind of, you know, in the NFL, there's you can teach as much as you want, but how much can your players retain? The way that I was with my last team I was with, we had two different ways of playing box, and we would just talk about it on a weekly basis and say, well, what are the routes we're getting? Okay, cool. We're going to play box with more zone eyes, or we're going to play box with more man eyes. And again, what it meant was that as the players are working down the field, if you're a deep defender, you would just lock onto your guy once he got to that kind of in between zone, like 8 to 10 yards. You would just say, all right, once he gets to 8 to 10 yards, I lock, it's all good, right? And then you can also say, we know that this team likes to run a lot of routes where they're going to switch. So as they work to 8 to 10 yards, we're going to kind of in our mind, let it work a little deeper. Let's kind of let them get to 12 yards or so, expecting them to switch so that we can just stay in our zones and play things like scissors. We don't have to actually lock our guys. So there's two different ways of thinking about it. And then also, not to make it even more complicated, you could change your rules for your nickel in real life, which kind of comes into what people are starting to realize now with the idea of manning up your nickel and manning up your players. We're taking control of how the bunch is played. So part one is done. I'm going to go into part two here in this video, just kind of explaining basically what I just kind of talked about, the way that they're playing it this year and why I think they were doing that. So, K Ghost, what's up? Let me just see your question. Oh, what are we talking about? The backside? Wouldn't there be a poach? Yeah. Well, the thing is, box is a 4/3 coverage, right? So you're including your inside backer, when it comes to that. You can always have an extra poach player if you're playing quarters, right? Or even if you want to do that with Pomp, you can do that. You can bring him over. That's part of the like. That's You can do that, but honestly, a lot of times the coverage is not built for that. It's also you have to think about what the formations are. So people can come out and bunch empty, right? And they have two receivers to the left. Then now you can't do it, right? But yes, if you have an overloaded player that's going to go 3 versus 2, yeah, you can always bring that backside safety over. Different ways of people kind of almost in a case kind of mabling it, but they have different words for it. And that comes back to what we would do is you guys are basically living the life of a defensive back coach, defensive coordinator. Because when you go and you see what a team is doing on offense, like a lot of teams are going to have crazy routes to beat your coverage, and they've shown it on film. You now have to come up with an answer for it. So you spend Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right now, working on, hey, we're going to play box +1, right? We're going to bring the safety over. So when we get this combination, we're going to keep, the safety on 3 coming from the backside. Safety to the strong side is going to play 2 corner. You can change all that, but the only problem is once you start tweaking your defense, these are human players you're playing with, right? Who have to remember all this stuff, plus everything else they have to do: special teams, blitzes, coverages. So once you start tweaking what you do as, whatever your main defense is, it becomes more of an overload. So what you see in the NFL is a lot of teams, they would carry over concepts. So if you used it one week, you see them use it again the next week, right? But again, it also depends on your style of team. So if you are Nick Saban, if you are Belichick, if you are back in the day with Rex Ryan, a lot of people didn't realize it, but we did a lot of that stuff too. You spend most of your time working on coverage, match, and man rules, and you don't have time to put in other stuff. You know what I mean? You can only do but so much. It sounds good on paper, but then you got to always think about, can your players remember it? And that's where you need to have smart players, especially your safeties. Okay, so all right, good question on that. But let's go back to what we're at, where we're at right now. All right, that's why I'm just showing this video, just kind of making sure that people who watch it later on kind of get an idea. And also, this is also a preview of what is on the Patreon. And then the nickel, unfortunately, at the beginning of the year, his rules were kind of busted too. He would say, "Okay, cool. They are trying to take away the potential of route and then realize, oh snap, Lazard is over the top, one play touchdown." Okay. So let's fast forward to what I had the theory of the new Madden. Once I noticed that they messed around with the corners and the corner was not really waiting for somebody to come out there. He was basically jumping guys and playing routes hard, especially on the left side of the screen. I was like, they are trying to take away the potential of one staying one. Okay. And if one stays one, then he's just going to run with number one, and that could take away the potential of this cheese. Okay. If it's not one stay one, or even if it is one stay one like this, same thing. He would be like one staying outside. He's not going underneath. I'm going to run with this guy. Okay. And then the nickel, unfortunately, at the beginning of the year, his rules were kind of busted too. He would say, okay, cool. I know that one is not mine. The corner has them. I'm going to run up with now I'm going to consider this guy like a flat route, right? I'm going to run up with him. However, they had a problem with all nickels in either match quarters or match palms where they stopped after 20 yards. They just stopped covering deep routes. So this route would be open late, right? Or if for some reason he went out here, nobody covered the guy in the slot. So it was just really screwy. That's the reason why it was like, wow, we're not going to do that. We're going to just stay out of this coverage. Now they actually came back and made a fix. They made it so that the nickel is smart depending on what the corner is doing. So the corner is going to be aggressive a lot of times. It's different, right screen, left screen. You're going to see it as we go along. Sometimes the corner stays out here. Sometimes the corner comes in the middle. But the nickel always adjusts. It always fixes himself. And the safety too. The safety on both sides usually adjusts. This one on the right-hand side of the screen does a really good job adjusting. This one's a little bit more passive. He plays a little bit more deep, but he will adjust to what's going on. So I said a whole lot to say this. The overall theory of what they're trying to do, and this is where I'll end it, they're trying to get this corner, okay, to basically play number one when he runs anything vertical or outside, okay? And if for some reason he goes vertical down the field, but yet there's another player that goes deeper than him. So let's just say number one did something like this. Number one runs like a little hitch, right? A little curl. Let me do it, make actual hitch, right? Yeah, he runs something like that. That's still technically one staying one. So he'll look at that and say, okay, cool. I know I watch him, but if anybody else does go deeper than that, I will jump it and I will go help out. Okay. So what you're kind of doing is this: you're taking a box defense and telling the corner, you play with man eyes really first to start, and then if he disappears out of your area, which is one staying one, then you go help out somewhere else and help out where needed. Okay. And everybody else do the same thing. All right. Kind of play with a little bit more man eyes, a little bit more man heavy. So now, since we're not really worried, since the safety and the nickel really aren't worried about number one so much, they're worried about two and three. So they can get better jumps on whatever two and three do. Okay. So they're not necessarily playing with man eyes, but they're playing with more aggressive go get your guy. All right. All right. I'm back to the live here. I just want to make sure I make this clear. I probably didn't do a good job on this video. Is that this is how the game plays just naturally with no adjustments. Okay. So this is no, because once you start getting into it's like tweaking sliders. Once you start making one change, it changes everything else and it gets all confusing. This is just, I'm explaining to you how the game plays. If you just pull quarters, palms, and you get the box check the way box is. And I think I made one little error in a sense where if one comes under, I'm still in white, but whatever. If one comes under, okay, underneath, when I say under, it means like under 5 yards, right? This player would sit back, but he will look to see if any other deep routes come out of there. So it's a little different. But when one doesn't come under, he doesn't always do that. So I just want to just talk about that. But it can get more confusing. I'm going to give the adjustment pretty soon. because everybody now understands that you need to man up somebody in box coverage, okay? Because it cleans up everything else. Um, I don't go into it in this video, I don't think, but on the right hand side, it's different if you play it stock and don't make any adjustments compared to if the formation was flipped and you're going against the left side of the defense on the screen, how you see it on the screen, they would play it different too. The safeties play different. So it's really crazy. That's the reason why people didn't want to even mess with this. But and towards we'll get to it soon. I found a way to at least make it so that it's consistent and that everybody plays their assignments the same, no matter right side or left side. To me, that's the biggest part. Now, is it the most technically sound? You're going to get some guys that get out leveraged. You're going to get some guys looking like they're running around playing man coverage from far away, but at least you know where everybody is. To me, that's like the most important thing in coverage. It's just to know that everybody's going to do the same thing against most of the routes. All right, so I'm gonna let this continue, but I just wanted to kind of stop that and just talk about. I'm explaining how box plays in Madden 24 without any adjustments right now. And then when I get to the adjustment part, I'll stop, okay? So there'll be less switching down the field. There'll be a less, they run a deep route, two deep routes in the corner, and the safety stay in their zone. No, it's going to look more like man to man. So that's why I called it back in the preseason more man match cover quarters coverage. So in real life, you can make this adjustment in real life by just making a call. Okay, different systems have different calls. Now, the very last part here is you go back and you listen to Deuce Close, who's a really good content creator. He's talked about this in the saving system buster coverage, okay, which is a hybrid of box, the first thing I explained. Bingo coverage. I said that wrong. Bingo is a combination of box and buster put together. So it's called bingo in the saving language, but buster is an example where what what the corner is going to try to do. Basically, if one stays one, he's going to lock them up man to man. That's what I think the creators were doing, and that's what I'll talk about here in the video. And or some sort of man match buster coverage where you go get the corner is going to go get one if he stays one. Okay, so that's kind of like I think potentially what the makers were trying to do with this, but they didn't really kind of make it perfect. So I have a theory that I'll explain to you. And it's real easy. We can play box, right? And we can play buster, but we're not going to do it how Deuce Close did it by using the corner. Okay, but we will take his advice that he talked about and man up the outside corner. And then you can go play whoever else you want. I suggest to play with this guy if you want to put, but you can play with whoever. You can play with the backside safety, all right? So my idea is to take box coverage because I still think it's box. I'm going to call it box, all right, until I know what it is. But we're going to man up the outside corner on number one, no matter what. I don't care if he runs under, over, whatever. If you want to take it to the deuce close level and play Buster, which is a hybrid of two different coverages, if number one runs under, like on a quick little under route like this, you could just fall off, let him go, know that he's going to be taken by the three receiver hook or somebody on the other side, and you could just go to help out wherever you want. So that's the way that he taught it. I did lots of this last year. If you watch my films from last year, I used to jump out there and have fun playing with the corner. You can still do that. You can play his coverage. Go to his channel and go, become a member of his channel and you'll be able to see that, okay? But what I'm going to propose to you guys in the Patreon, and I'm not going to make this public, I want to see you guys work with it and get an advantage, is let's get back to playing quarters to bunch, but let's just man up the outside guy. And in order to prove it to you that I think it's going to be good enough, I'm going to try to go through every single stock combination and I'm going to add in some adjustments if I need to try to break the coverage. And I want to see if it holds up. So that's what this video is going to be. This video is going to be us going through the entire Jets bunch, shotgun bunch stock plays with a little bit of adjustments I'll even add in there throughout the video. And then I'll go through all these plays, all the pass plays. That's about like. All right, so we're back here. We're live. See what you're saying, Kago. She likes to do the point man. The thing is, it doesn't matter who you do, right? It just makes it so that it's consistent. And the reason why that works is because the nickel with the last patch. The last big patch, the nickel plays smarter. The safety actually even plays smarter. Okay. So if you want to man up the point man, that's fine. Um, the only guy that, it doesn't really, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, because the thing to me is about, I'm still concerned about what people used to do last year. What people, think are one play touchdowns, which are really trying to get that number one wide receiver to go vertical some way, somehow. That kind of always kind of mess with the coverage. And once I go through a lot of the routes here in this Jets playbook, you're going to see that that's always the problem route to me. So let's say you get like a double post. Let me go back. You get double post or triple post. Sock play. It's always, hold up, let me turn the sound off. It's always kind of the thing that kind of makes it hard. But it doesn't matter though. You can man up whoever you want, and that allows the rest of the coverage to play sound on both sides. That was my challenge. I was worried about when you go to the left side of the field, the nickel played different, the safety played different compared to the right side of the field. So when you watch the video, you'll see how it works out. So I think it'll make more sense once I go through a couple plays here and you see how I'm gonna go right side and left side in this video. So we'll see how it goes. But let me just go back to you. I wanted to just talk about this one last thing. So yeah. So I'm just gonna go through this real quick again. Just manning up this guy on number one, all right, all it does is just allows that the nickel, all right, so the low part outside of the box and then the high inside part of the box, these two guys, because I usually use are this guys, all right, that's just, I like to do that because obviously I want to stop the run and I also want to help out with crossing routes or shallow routes, things like that, right? But in general, these two guys are smarter, all right, so they'll play the combination that we already had up there here over a lot better. Okay, the safety would go take this guy, and he doesn't have anybody else to play. He would treat that like a wheel route or a flat route and take that, right? So that's one of the more complicated plays in general. If you just let it go stock, sometimes it doesn't work. All right, but it's probably better just to talk through some more routes and just look at it and just see how it goes. All right, so I'm gonna let the film go, and we'll keep it going. I'm looking at my phone as the film is going, so I can answer questions in the chat as it's going too. All right. At the screen when you need to, but I'm trying to do some of this homework for you guys so you can jump back into Madden, call cover four quarters versus bunch with confidence. All right. I'll talk to you in the next clip. Quarters. All right. My match is on, and this is a tough route. The inside guy is going to get open. Let me just explain to you how the video goes, guys. Okay, I keep stopping it like I'm a DJ. So I run the play once, right, with the just stock way of playing it with no adjustments. Okay. And then I run it again with the adjustment. So you see the difference and how it plays out. So if you just run it stock, you don't do anything, you don't man anybody up. That's the first example. And I'll say it throughout the film. And then I'll do it with the adjustment. I'll call it the Geronimo adjustment, the box adjustment, whatever it is. And then if I'm not mistaken, I do it on the left side and the right side. So you can get an understanding of how it looks, how it's kind of screwed up if you just leave it alone, and or how it's fine. So that's how the video goes through this. Just want to let you know. Let me do it again. The inside guy is going to get open. Right? I know that already. Let me just run it one more time just to make sure it matches on. So again, the corner is thinking one stays one. I match one. So he gets there, but he gets there so late. The safety does a poor job of matching the inside crosser, but he's kind of in no man's land. I'm not gonna lie. Is that really a deep route? I'm not sure. So I'm not against that. Now let me take a look at if I use the adjustment, which is put corner and man-to-man coverage on number one. And let's see if the safety plays it any different. It does. So there we go, right? Not bad. Here, safety on, he's not going to pay attention to one. He's just going to look for the new, oops, I don't know why I was probably still on the corner there, but that's a good adjustment. So that's better. Let me make sure I'm off the corner. Again, the left side of the screen plays really passive a lot with the safety, so that's a good thing. Take a look at that, right? I love that. All right, let's take a look at the same play flipped. Okay, we got match coverage again, the same play. See how the safety plays it more aggressive on this side? All right, see how the safety's just following number two right off the bat? But we're getting the same matches that we would if I put the corner in man. That one he didn't. It's interesting how the corner didn't play that one either. Curious about that. Let's watch it again. That one he tried to chase. So the thing about putting the corner in man to man, which I'm gonna do right here, I think it just makes it so much better that he is going to match this guy. He's just playing a lot closer. He's playing man technique. He doesn't have that hesitation. And you're for sure going to get I know on this side of the screen, you're going to get the safety driving number two, who I think is a really tough route because he's kind of running in the middle of no man's land. All right. So I like that. I think we're good to go to the next play. All right. We got speed dig. Just a reminder if you play palms, it plays the same. All right. Nothing different. First play is always funky, guys. Just let it go. And as you know, I'm playing with Aaron Rodgers, so I'm getting probably some real good throws here. But looks like the safety's playing that guy, and then the corner's going to play the deep dig route, the Dover. Underneath, we're good. If I don't mention a position, guys, it's because it's covered well. I'm not going to talk about all four players in this box slash buster. All right, but let's go to the other side. Let's flip it. Again, if anybody ever finds out about ball in the middle of the field makes a big difference, let me know. I just wouldn't think it matters. Most of the time, the ball's on a hash. See, this is the one that concerns me. If you leave it alone, is that the corner is trying to chase this over route, and he's never going to get there because it's coming from the point man, right? This time the safety took him. Interesting. See what happens here. This time the safety takes him, and interesting because number one's route is working wide, so that really kind of does suck up the corner. I can understand why this is different, but it's not bad. Of course, that inside Dover route is open, but still, that's not a problem. That's just the way the game plays. Okay, let's make the adjustment here. Let's put the corner in man. Should get a closer coverage on the Dover, and we should still get the safety playing on the over. Okay, let's do it one more time. Looks pretty clean. No issues with potential problems anywhere else. Now, I'm not making any audible adjustments to this. I'll let you guys talk to me about that if you know of something that's cheesy. I can't think of anything that's going to be this cheesy right now. Okay, let's go to the next route. Okay, the play is called corner out dig, just to reference that. Yep. So this plays exactly like I thought it would. Corner's going to take number one. Again, the right side of the screen always plays it a little bit more true. So I think how the game wants to play it, and the left side plays it a little bit different to how the game used to play. Okay. So that's pretty much good. We don't have to do more than that. But if we want to, let's just take a look at real quick if I did my adjustment, because I don't know the routes when I'm playing the game. Man up the corner, it's going to be the same thing. It's not going to look any different than what. Now I got to quickly jump into this because I know that everybody's going to say the corner's out leverage, right? The safety's out leverage. This is what Bruce Zan talked about. I know, not good. So I'm not looking at it right now from the standpoint of is it really good coverage because he's out leveraged? No, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of are there bust? Are guys running butt naked? Again, just a quick review. I'm showing the video. I'm showing it and this is an old video from a month ago, but I'm showing it with no adjustments to start. And then I always say I'll add my adjustment because I think my adjustment just makes the coverage more viable, makes it more sound, especially when you start going from right to left. Because if you don't know, the right side of the screen, especially the safety, plays different than the left side of the screen safety. And there's certain routes where it's crazy. So if you want to live in that world and just play stock, you're going to have to know which side of the field the bunch is on, and that can become a real headache. But with my adjustment of just manning up at least whoever. Like everybody's saying in the chat, you can man up other people, but as long as you man up one person out of the bunch, you're gonna feel a lot better. I like to do number one because that's more true to what the coverage is designed to do. All right, where the corner's playing one stays one for the most part, unless he runs a quick under. All right, so I'm gonna let it continue. Again, I'm using the Jets stock playbook here just because they have some of the best bunch routes in the game. So sometimes, you just have to go through stuff and just lab it. And that's pretty much what this becomes, a live lab session with the up top. It tells you what the plays are and what happens. So now that we're going back and watching this again, like in a lecture series, I can kind of stop and talk about it and see if there's anything. If you guys have more questions, I'll take a look at those as well. But somebody asked about what coverages are on versus tight sets. The tight sets are a problem too. 2x2 tights. To me, there's the top three ways that I would play it is probably playing. Um, if you think somebody's gonna throw it to the flat real quick and that's all they do, just play cover three, right, and just hard flat. Simple, right? Then after that, if you really think they're gonna go for deep routes and you're worried about guys getting wide open and it's third and extra long, just play cover two man. Play it out of a dime set so everybody can get a line correctly, dime or dollar, right? And I know this is an old trick from last year, but just press everybody, put them inside leverage, press them, and then everybody's gonna be locked up man to man if it's third and long versus tight sets. You're not worried about the run. And then the next part would be a combination of different things that you can do. Right now, currently, my favorite way of probably playing it is playing like two invert or playing like playing like cover six invert. One of the ways where one side of the defense is kind of hunkered down. Like two invert would be more to obviously like probably to the two receiver slot side, not the tight end side. You get a cover two look, but it's out of a cover one shell. That kind of confuses people a little bit. If you played six invert, people have talked about this a little bit, but now you got a safety dropping down to the curl flat area weak. That kind of confuses people. But if I had a gun to my head right now, if I played a game, I would probably call cover six. So cover six gives me cover two to the weak side. All right. I know there's combinations that can beat it, but it's pretty sound versus for the most part, it's always the tight end, a flanker, and a running back on that side. So that's kind of like a box formation. It's kind of like a bunch formation if you consider the running back, but you're getting cover two to the weak side and you're playing quarters to the strong side. And to the strong side, I would use the adjustment that I've talked about and play triangle. So that's another video for another day. But I have what I considered a hybrid version or a Madden way to play triangle, which is 3/2. Okay. And that's really the Patreon guys have that video, but that's another way to play versus stacks and bunches. Okay. So to answer that question, that's how I would do that. I would come out with those three plans, mix it up. You can try cover one if you want, but it's a little bit dangerous, obviously, but you can make modifications to make it better. You can also just blitz it too. Because the good thing about blitzing it and just going all out blitz versus it's hard, it disguises itself well. Because when people come out in tight, it's hard to see if the corners are playing off, if the safeties are playing low. People don't really pay attention to that look, and they get caught off. So they're waiting for a deep corner route, and all of a sudden they got a guy running free in their face. So they gave you like 4 or 5 things actually. So all right, let's get back to this. If you didn't do it to the right side, so that's a positive. Let's keep it moving. This is a funky little play. I forgot what it was called. I'll put it on the screen here, hopefully. Um, I did this in the live stream. I remember that the corner does play this route different than I thought he would because one stays one. I thought he would just stay with one. But again, just because one stays one on this side of the field doesn't mean he's going to stay with it. It just means he's going to break on the deeper route. So that's the deeper route, which is the corner. And then the safety is actually replacing his responsibility and taking the out route, which I'm guarantee you it wasn't like that before the patch. Let's flip. Oh, sorry. Before we flip the play, let's try my adjustment. Let's man up the outside receiver. Let's get off of Walker. All right. Let's see what happens here. So the safety, he was late to react, but he did try to react to number two. This is a problem. Not a problem, but this is tough. If guys want to run basically double sevens, that's what I call this, then the safety is going to be out leverage, which is kind of, expected. He's inside leverage of this whole thing. All right, so I got to go back because whoever said they wanted to man up number two with the corner, that's the question. Now, unless you were saying man up the point man, which is a whole different conversation. But that's another way of doing it. But you saw how when I did this in the beginning, the first time I ran this is crazy, right? You see how crazy this play was when it was just stock. This is why it's hard to say I'm going to run bunch versus people, and they come out versus this. Let me turn the sound down. Actually, let me just do the pin. That's what I have it for. Which color looks best, guys? I think I'm gonna go yellow. All right. So one, I don't have a lot of room here, guys. He runs a spray out like this. Let me do it again. Oops. So one runs like a spray out, right? And then I think it was two running this kind of corner. I call that double seven. Forgot what he did. He might have just hooked up there. So the stock way of playing it in Madden is, if I can get this color thing right, would be cooking with gas right now. Is on this side of the screen too. This is left side of screen. I think I do it. It looks different on the right hand side of the screen. That looks like I can't write. Anyway, so he's gonna actually sit here again with one staying one like this. One stays outside. It doesn't necessarily mean in the Madden world that he's gonna jump one. It means that right now in his brain he thinks, okay, cool. I'm gonna sit back, but I'm still gonna watch to see if anything comes out from the bunch, and I'm gonna take the deeper of the two routes. So he actually ends up falling back on this route here on the corner, and the safety reacts late because he's not sure what the corner is going to do, and he runs all the way over here. Okay, so that's crazy, right? Like, I mean, that's not good football at all. So the idea here, again, this is the left side of the screen. We're gonna have to talk about this again on the other side of the screen. Is that just man this guy up? It just makes it easy, and what that does is everybody knows now the secret is out. That really just now deletes him off the screen, and now the safety just worries about these two guys. And as soon as he sees that route, yeah, he's going to be out leveraged. I know, but at least he's going to be there. Okay. And that's just the most important thing. We don't have him running all the way over here because that's not good football. So, again, at this point in time, I'm trying to find the most easy way to play sound football. And that's where we are. All right. Let me get the sound back on. That's what I'm talking about. So the safety, he was late to react, but he did try to react to number two. That's what I called it. Over routes and corner routes. He's going to overplay the inside route. So I would be okay with this. Now, this is the situation where I might want a user stay here, know that something's coming, and kind of like play both, you know? But that's taking it to another level that I'm not here to play with right now. So again, let's just pretend we're using somebody else here. And this is the problem that you're going to get. But I honestly believe this is just a leverage problem in covered four. I don't think it's anything that is game breaking. Let's flip it. Let's play it here. A little smash return, a little West Coast concept here. Let's see what happens. I don't remember. Did I actually show this play on the other side? I might have skipped this one. I'm sure. I thought I showed them on both sides. That might have been a bad job by me. Hold up. Did we start on the right hand side with the same play? I'm going back real quick. I wasn't paying attention. I was reading the chat. Hold up. Did we do it on the right hand side? Yeah, I think I did. I just didn't. I wasn't paying attention. Okay. So that's what I was saying. If you just play this stock on the right hand side, the corner and the safety play it. They play it fine. Okay. That's why it's so crazy that you have to look at which side of the field the route is attacking. I looked at boundary, I looked at formation and boundary, I looked at middle of the field. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with where if it was the right side of the defense, because it's programmed different than the left side. If you guys know from Madden from over the last decade, the game is programmed different depending on sometimes players on the left hand side of the screen have old legacy rules, and it's crazy. Okay, but anyway, we're good there. So we go to the next play. I just wanted to just make sure I did cover how it's different on the right hand side versus the left hand side. My bad. Here, a little smash return, a little West Coast concept here. Let's see what happens. I would expect that it would be a double team with the corner and the safety, but maybe the corner's going to take that whip route because it's one staying one. Let's see. Yeah, he tried to. He just bumped into his own guy. So this is going to be a tough play for the corner route, but that's going to be the nickel. Your quarter flat defender is going to treat that like a flat route and have to play that route. All right, so I'll take it. I'm losing the safety on what? I don't know where he's chasing. He might be chasing the shallow. again, over the top of the linebackers, which I've always talked about. But I mean, he's over the top of the linebacker. I'm looking at number two right here, and he's being ultra aggressive. The safeties poaching on the backside. It looks like I have to go back to that a little bit to see if they're really poaching. We haven't had any routes that really kind of. Actually, I didn't look at the. I got go back and look at that crossing over route. The safety should have been there to help out number three as well. All right, let's go with my adjustment. It shouldn't change anything. It's going to probably make it look exactly the same. So these are the type of things you got to do because if you make adjustments in the game, you could be breaking something, right? So the best way to do it is to go through all the. Okay, but let me just ask a quick question, guys who are here, especially in the chat. I'm sorry, I'm going to give the adjustment here and see if it plays different. I think it doesn't play different. I think it's the same. But I did talk about this. You guys brought this up, right? So the backside safety, I kind of ignored this. So we are still in a 3-by-1 set. So you're telling me that this guy is still poaching. All right. So if we did get four verticals out of this look, that he would end up going there, right? That's what we're saying. I'm going to go look at it. Just want to get a confirmation that he would end up still helping out with this guy, which doesn't really help on this play particularly, but as a safety actually does a good job on it. But I just want to make sure that that's the case. Now, obviously, if we're playing, well, not obviously, but if we're playing palms, this player here was I called it no. When I used to play palms, we didn't tell him to poach. We wanted to use him for something else. We would tell him to free up, okay, and then just basically say, hey, help out somewhere else, which a lot of people teach it that way. But I think in Madden, he still poaches. Now, the one thing also that used to happen was that he would kind of come over in the pass and just not poach. Like he would just stand there almost like a deep robber. And if anybody came free, he would just stand there and just watch him run for a touchdown. So you guys let me know in the chat, like, is that something is that what's happening? Is he actually poaching for real? Because that is a good thing if it is the case, I don't want to overlook that. But again, I'm focused on the box right here. I'm focused on these four guys trying to play out over three. They should be able to handle it. Okay. Okay. Yep. Sorry, Southside. Yep. I did show you both ways. My bad. All right. Now let's just go through the smash return routes. Me sitting there making adjustments on my own may not be enough. Let's flip it. Three as well. All right. Let's go with my adjustment. It shouldn't change anything. It's going to probably make it look exactly the same. So these are the type of things you got to do because if you make adjustments in the game, you could be breaking something, right? So the best way to do it is to go through all the routes. Me sitting there making adjustments on my own. I just noticed that on this film, for whatever reason, when I made that adjustment, usually I do it twice in practice mode. I don't know why the safety did not take that underneath route. Again, is it an over? This is a conversation that happens in all levels of football. Ever since I've been coaching from 2003, was the first year I started coaching college football. All right, is it an over? Is it not? I forgot which one goes across the field. I think it's number two, right? Is it over the linebackers? Is it at 10 yards? Is it this? And it's one of those things where when I used to play this position back here, and then when I had to coach it, it was so hard to tell them what to do. So I just said be aggressive. And I said if the linebacker steps up, let's say it's play action or he makes a poor read, and this guy goes over the top of him, just take him. It's obvious, right? But if he's backing up and he's playing with good depth and he sees the route and he can kind of match it himself because that's what he's taught to do, that's his number three, then we can kind of now fall off and help somewhere else. But in the Madden world, because that's the world we're living in right now, it does look like maybe this guy is not playing. Sometimes he plays around, sometimes he doesn't. So just think about that. I know this kind of goes into some other people's films, what X and O is kind of doing now. But that's the one route to me that is kind of like iffy. Like what happens when he runs? When he runs clearly deep, it's fine. But what happens when he runs like in no man's land? Right? That's where it gets kind of funky. And just a little quick story. That's what Gronk used to do. That's what the Patriots used to do a lot. Again, I coach for the Bills, coach for the Jets, right? So I had to go up against the Patriots during their prime a lot. They actually did run a lot of routes with their tight ends and their number twos and number threes that were kind of like that would mess with coverage, mess with a lot of the match coverages. He would be like a nondescript two steps and then like crossing across the field, and like and linebackers would be like, I don't know what that is. You know what I'm saying? So eventually people just started bumping them and manning them up no matter what the coverage was. But once you start getting funky crossing routes, it's almost like a cheesy audible. It kind of messes up coverage. And they used to eat off of plays like that. Nondescript over routes by Gronk. All right. So anyway, I went off on a tangent there, but we're good. It's going to probably make it look exactly the same. So these are the type of things you got to do, because if you make adjustments in the game, you could be breaking something, right? So the best way to do it is to go through all the routes. Me sitting there making adjustments on my own may not be enough. Let's flip it. Okay, here we go. Got that same play going the other way. Based alignment adjustments plays out the same. I don't think I have to do it more than 3 times. So I'm just gonna do it twice. If I'm in man to man, okay, so that time the safety didn't play him. Okay, so again, that left safety is gonna be a little bit passive sometimes. He's not gonna always be aggressive like he is on the right hand side. This time he does chase him. So it's weird. I kind of want to put my better safety over there because I feel like he'll be a little bit more natural with his assignments, and let my worst safety play on the right side because the game makes him aggressive and I want my safeties to be aggressive. So, all right, let's man up the outside guy, use the Geronimo adjustment, and we're pretty good there, right? This could help the safety just, be more aggressive too by doing this. And that's why you do this. It helps your nickel be aggressive. Hopefully, it helps your safety be aggressive. And that's the only route that's open. Look at all these guys bumping into each other. But I feel pretty good about that. Okay, so let's go to the next play. Yeah, we got a little dig return here. One of the more popular plays in the game. You would hope that the corner really does sit there. So here's the first example of really one not staying one. One works inside, which, in my opinion, it's interesting how the corner plays it. He plays it with like kind of a zone mentality, but I like that he doesn't have any work and he still comes down on the return, which really could kind of get somebody for a loop. Okay. Um, Interesting. The quarter flat defender is taking number 2 to the flat. That's what you want. That's good. And let's just take a look at, because there is a threat of an underneath route. What does the wall player do? What's the 3 receiver hook player do? Okay, he just kind of stays underneath the dig, which is probably smart. Okay. You technically, if you're usering this guy, right, which is always the guy I always talk about usering, when that route comes in on the dig, the return, technically, you can take that route. You can do this and you can get out there and take it. As long as the safety is really driving on the dig, then you're in good shape. I really like that. So now let me just do the same adjustment real quick. If I made, like I talked about, the corner playing man, I'm sorry to do that right away. Geronimo adjustment. All right. So we kind of know the route. So he's going to be all over this, I would imagine. Not going to really change much else. But he's going to be sitting there in so much better shape, probably for a pick. So I like that a lot. All right. I don't have to do more than that. That's going to be good, buddy. Let's flip this play. All right. Got the dig return the other way. Really want to see if the corner plays it any different. He does. And that's the part that I'm worried about. Left of screen corner, one went inside. So again, is it about one staying one? I guess it has nothing to do with one staying one. It might just have to do with just who's the deeper route. I want to get the deeper route. And that's just really making this weird. Okay. So let's just take a look at. I'm not going to make any other adjustments besides just my one adjustment. I just thought of one right now. So I'm kind of trying to control myself a little bit. But my theory is that by me putting man on number 1, the corner is going to take care of the whip route. The safety is not even going to think about the whip route because he knows he's in man coverage. That's how the game works sometimes. So he should now just go take this dig. So it should look like how it looked on the right of screen. Yes, it does. Good. Did I feel good? How's our quarter flat defender doing? Is he okay over there? Let's take a look at him again. He should be working on 3 to the flat. He shouldn't be doing anything funky. He looks good. All right. Well, there goes really one of the first examples of how the Geronimo adjustment really kind of helps out there. Okay, let's go to the next play. All right, little spot concept. 473 should be pretty easy. This is where I thought, oh, yep, that's going to be, you kind of want, there's two ways to play this, right? The only guy that can really expand out to this is going to be your three receiver hook, your wall player, and he should, right? He's right there. So that's good. Your safety, he should help out in this corner route. I'm not sure why he doesn't. But again, it goes back to the programming that the corner is taking the deepest route, so he doesn't feel like he needs to help him. So let's see what happens if I did use the Geronimo adjustment. Put this right here. Boom, boom, boom. Let's man the outside guy up. What's going to happen? Well, the safety has to play him, right? Nobody else to play him. The corner is going to drive the spot concept, which isn't 100% necessary, really, in this case. If it was a wider spot, it would be necessary. But here, with it being so tight, the three receiver hook player is good. He can help. He can help you with that. So I'll do it one more time and just watch. I see already the little issue where, okay, well, yeah, and the safeties have to be pretty good. I talked about putting my better safety over there, so that might be an answer. Now, if you wanted to take it to that third level, I can't help myself, and I want to, use the corner. To me, when one comes under, I'm just here to help out over here. And that's where you could take it to the next level of playing like a true box in that situation versus that type of route. People are going to run just one guy deep, maybe. Depends what kind of league you're in, right? Most gamers are not going to do that, but, let's move it to the other side of the field. Let's see how it looks. All right, let's run a stock. See, this is what I saw earlier. The corner on the right hand side, he's gonna just sit there and kind of stay on. He treats this almost like one stays one almost, but he drives this route late. I've seen him switch with the safety, but they're on the same page. At least the safety is still covering the guy deep, which is what I expect. It's always a little scary though when you're not sure what they're gonna do. You know what I mean? So let's take a look at the Geronimo adjustment. Boom. There we go. Man up the corner on the outside. Now it's guaranteed what's going to happen, right? Everybody knows, everybody's playing it. I think that's the best way to go. I don't want to have any type of I don't know type of moments. All right, let's see another route. Okay, let's see this route. It used to be one of my favorite routes back in the day. Again, one's coming under, and you got two coming out and three coming out. It's gonna be interesting. Plays out well. It's only the makers of the game made this right side the way they wanted to play because they know that most of the bunches are on the right hand side. But one comes under, safety, the corner's going to play the deepest out of there, and happens to work out that the guy coming right at him runs a wheel. The quarter flat defender, which probably underratedly is like the biggest change right now that they did, and I'm not talking about enough. This dude doesn't worry about two, he worries about three. To me, that is unbelievably smart. Some quarter flat defenders would say, well, that's a flat route, but no, I mean, he's the most outside guy. He knows the corner's there, and that's wonderful. So that works out really well. Now let's make the adjustment now with how I think I want to head towards going future is making this man on the outside guy. It shouldn't change the corner. If anything, it makes life easier. Nah, actually, it doesn't make life easier for the corner here. What you're going to end up having is what I don't like is where the corner is going to be running across the field to cover the crossing route, and now your nickel has number two, and he needs to now know I have to stay with them. But let's see how smart they made him in the game. Okay, well, he didn't stay with them, but the safety had no work and he picked them up. Oh boy, right? Now we're getting into the weeds a little bit here. Safety's there. Safety says, it's all good. I don't have any work. Let me go get this guy. That sounds really good, too good to be true almost, right? Let me see now. Maybe it's because there's two guys going out. The safety can see that and he's like, all right, I'll take the deeper of the two. You're good. Let's just say for some reason that your opponent wants to get funky and do this, right? This is how the gamers try to figure out how to bust coverage up. So now we'll do the same thing. Um, Again, I'm going to man up my guy. I'm going to man up my guy and the outside guy because we don't know what the play is. Let's see if the corner now says, okay, well, I got to now stay with this guy. There's nothing else left for me to stay with. And he does. That's the power of the defense, and that's the power of going forward. I think we can have some really good answers versus potentially stacks as well. You see how the nickel is really smart. The nickel knows if other people around them are doing something different, right? They know the responsibilities and the route distribution better than anybody. And that is the underrated part of this defense, the hardest part to play in real life, too. So I love it. I think that's good. I can live with this, obviously. The safety smart, the nickel smart, and my corner is just going to be playing man. And that's what happens in real life sometimes. Sometimes we say, yo, just let the corner play man. Let's flip the play and hopefully we get the same results. Okay, we're looking at his stock here. Same play flipped, other side. Works out as expected. Same thing as on the right hand side. Corner's going to take the deepest route, so he doesn't have to chase anybody really deep, right? One goes under. The real deep guy is coming right at him. The safety's going to take the underneath guy. That's what happened last time, too. Not mistaken. All right. Now, let's make the change over here with the safety driving the underneath guy is not necessary, but I'll take it. Okay. Now, here we go with this. We're going to take the corner outside, let him do his thing. We're going to come here. This is going to be a tough down for the nickel, but let's just go through it. See if the safety helps him out. Yep. Safety helps him out. Love it. So everybody's the same on both sides. I think that's really good. Right? All right, let me just do it one more time. Now, here's another again. Anytime you're getting a team that wants to go one under, if you want to use it with the corner and not chase that underneath route, you might be able to really be a bonus player here. If you want to do that, that works out for me, okay? All right, I think I've done enough. There's a couple more in this film. You see, this is a long film, a lot of plays. This was, again, anybody watching this who jumped in late. This is an old video that I did a month ago when Patch came out. It was for the guys in the Patreon. Let me just move the screen down, right? So I have it here. It's a month ago. 54 guys watched it already. Yeah, it's after the patch. It looks better. Things look better. I did the full talk through. And I just kind of took a stock book. It was just easier. I wanted to get something done quick. The Jets have probably the best playbook in the game if you want to use a stock book, if you want to use all different types of formations. And they have some tough ones. So the idea that came out, I think a lot of people understand it. I want to make sure all my guys who subscribe to me understand it as well. If you man up a guy in the bunch, the other two guys are smarter. And to me, the best guy to man up is the corner, right? Because the corner, when it comes to playing quarters coverage, has some of the most funkiest responsibilities that they've added to the game this year. The corner in regular quarters coverage box is basically playing a buster rule. If one stays one, he might stay with them, or he might take the deepest out of the bunch. And that's the quickest way I can say that. And it's kind of messed up. So if you do decide to man up a nickel or you decide to man up a safety or anybody else on a bunch, it's going to kind of play out, it could play out funky. You really got to test out routes. And I'm not in the business of, hey, look out for this one route, or maybe just one route is fine. I'm not in the business of trying to give you like 5 or 6 different things to look out for during a game. That's impossible. So I try to always find something that just covers everything. And maybe there's one thing you got to think about. And then you can play ball. Okay. Because once you start adding, think about this and that, or this, that, and the other, that's when you're out there actually executing, you start forgetting stuff. If there's one thing to think about, I can live with that. All right. So just in general, the idea is, guys, if you want to play with some box coverage this year, you want to play box versus bunch, and it's going to start rolling into some of the other things that I'm going to bring up to you guys later on about triangle, how to play stacks, things like that, which the guys in the Patreon already have, already have videos on this for like at least 2 to 3 weeks now. There are other ways that you can get away with playing coverage against some of these really tough formations that's going to make other people's lives go crazy. All right. So, what I'm going to do here, I think I have a cut ups here already that I'm going to show at a different date of just this coverage in games. I would just jump into. Actually, let me take a look real quick because I do have to get running here pretty soon. Time kind of flew a little bit, but let me see if I could. Uh, I may not be able to do it fully here. Give me 1 second here, guys. Let me see if I can actually maybe pull up some clips that I might have clipped already. Give me a second. I'm going to try to have another computer here. All right, what I'll do is I'll actually just jump into, I think I could just go back here. Um, all right, so what I do, what I obviously have a lot of clips here that I saved throughout the times, just like little notes. Some of these things I do, so like when I make videos on Patreon, I go back and find it. I don't know if I have some of this stuff here already put out for you guys. You can see all the different things that I'm working on here. Yeah, I don't think I have. I think what I did was I actually made some videos and they're in some video files that I'm gonna have to go get. So let me take a look at this. Give me a second, guys. Let me pause it. Let's look at this silly screen over here. It's not gonna work out, guys. Let me just end the stream now. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. And what we'll do is in the future we'll do some more live streams, just kind of getting some topics, and we'll bring up some of this stuff later on. But there are some other ways to play box versus bunch. There's other ways to get different types of combinations. Like people have talked about manning up number two with the point man, things like that. All right. I'm gonna hit you guys up later. If you want to jump into the Patreon, there's probably about like 40 videos in there now, all different types of quarter stuff, all different types of adjustments you can make. Hit that up. If you want to join that, that's